With extreme net zero measures continue to rise in this country, including the ultra low emission zones and clean air zones, the Socialist Bristol Council have taken it to a whole new level by banning cars. Yes, the Socialists in charge of Bristol Council, the Greens and the Labour Party and all the others have been accused of essentially banning cars in the most parts of Bristol, especially central Bristol, by completely stopping the cars from driving. So that's lovely, isn't it? So we have an issue with all these local authorities who are, every single one of them are left-leaning local authorities. So some of them have decided to hire more PR officers to come and create their own propaganda. And they did it quite well, actually. They've been going around to the national newspapers saying, well, technically, it's the central government that allows us to do it. And that narrative essentially worked for a while because people were saying, yeah, these councils, Oxfordshire, for example, or Bristol or City Khan in London, are woke greeny. But yeah, we just heard that it's central government telling them to do that. But it's not true, is it? So what the government decided to do was they became the godfather of the green agenda. Yes, they've been promoting it, but they did not come up with ideas like low traffic neighborhoods or ULEZ. It was actually the power of local authorities or mayors. And in fact, the central government have been under pressure, so they are fighting back against it. Whether it's in Oxfordshire, where government ministers are fighting, whether in London, that Downing Street is fighting, and things are changing. So when it comes to Bristol, we now have a situation where cars are now banned from large parts of the city as the low traffic neighborhood trials have officially been launched. So this was the latest area that we were waiting. We knew that Bristol is also going to get completely taken over by the nutters, and they've decided to launch this a new scheme which has failed in every single area. We actually had an article in the Telegraph a year ago, almost literally a year ago, 4th of May 2022, by Gemma Lewis, saying that LTNs harm the working man, but the left just doesn't care. They are being eagerly implemented by left-wing councils, even though the people who hate them most tend to be traditionally Labour voters. But that's a whole different argument because the Labour Party is no longer the Labour Party, the party that was established by the trade unions and the working man. I can't say man anymore, can we? Working people. That's gone. So the leadership of the parties like Labour are now completely run by the metropolitan liberal elite type. So they cannot resonate with their traditional Labour voters. And until now, for a short period of time, between 2019 and now, a lot of those people decided to vote Conservative because of Boris Johnson and Brexit. And then they were betrayed by them as well. And now they don't know what to do. So the Bristol Council has unveiled details of its £6 million East Bristol livable neighbourhood trial. So they come up with their own names, by the way, to make sure that it doesn't correlate with the other bad, toxic branding. Barring traffic from several key roads in the east of the city. The huge LTN, which could become permanent by 2025, will be 2 miles across and cover areas such as Barton Hill, Redfield and St. George. It is interesting though, because on the issue of branding, they've been doing that for such a long time. Every time one of these projects get bad publicity, they just change the name. So in London, when the ultra low emission zones or the initially low emission zones became a bit toxic, places like Birmingham decided to call it clean air zones. It's the same thing. You're using taxpayers' money to install cameras across the city to force to chase people and monitor their behavior. And now people like City Khan want to take it to a new level by creating pay per mile, which means there are going to be cameras that will be checking what sort of car you're driving, what time of the day you're driving, how many passengers you have in the car, and where you're going, how far you're going. It's disgusting. It's literally the sort of things we used to see in sci-fi movies back in the 80s. Now it's reality. Now, Labour have a problem with motorists, and we know that. The move by Bristol mirrors similar policies brought in by other Labour councils aimed at reducing the number of cars on the road. Now, last month, the Telegraph revealed that Southwark in London had raised the price of its parking permits by nearly 400% as part of a policy to reduce vehicle numbers. This came after similar price increases in the Labour boroughs of Islington and Lambeth also happened. They are literally trying their best to abolish cars. And whether you're having an emergency, you have to drive somewhere to a hospital or pick up your kids at school, you will be damaged. Even if you have these new compatible cars, the parking costs will still increase on you. So even if you obey and change your car to make it more green, doesn't matter, because you still have to pay more if you park somewhere. Now, Bristol plans could restrict access for disabled residents as well. This is also disgusting because they're going to obviously they put this forward at the start of 2022, and as well as the LTNs, the low traffic neighborhoods, these plans involve an installation of gates that stop private car traffic but allow through buses. Several roads will also be converted from two-way to one-way in an attempt to ease congestion. Now, this is also a battle against disabled motorists. Now we have a transport campaigner, David Ridgewell, who said, "The issue here is about access, making sure that the streets are open to disabled people. We've seen the Oxford model, which has been very difficult for some disabled people to access the streets. Barriers and gates, taxis going around huge journeys to drop off wheelchair users, which means more costs. So if they say, well, you can't drive your car anymore, so you're going to have to get a taxi, but the taxi was going to go all the way around the city, which means it's going to charge you even more money. So it's lose-lose. The whole thing is damaging everybody. Small businesses on the high street, the mother who has to take her child to school, someone who has to visit their parents at the hospital, and a disabled person who wants to go shopping. You cannot leave your house without being hurt or damaged by this nonsense. And I don't know how long we have to keep talking about this until we get some sort of fight back, actual fight back. Now, we have groups and campaigners who are doing this. The Together Association are very good with this, but we need the whole country to wake up to this nightmare. Let me know what you think. If you have any suggestions or solutions to do this, I'm Mahyar Tousi, and we are the media.